All right, ladies and gentlemen, certainly after a long delay, but certainly maybe in retrospect it isn't worth the delay because our New York Mets here for Met fans here like myself, Justin Gianelli, and Rob Maraska certainly wasn't the night that we hoped for, but we'll get into all of that here. We'll get into some MLB playoff games around the league, maybe do some NFL picks at the end of the show. Let's see how it all unfolds, but we are here joined right now with us with Chris Pizzea of the Liftoff Jets and the Talking Rivals. Talking Rivals, you've heard throughout the week here on Sportswire Radio. Also, the Liftoff Jets you'll hear tomorrow on the air. Rob Maraska, our longest tenured analyst, baseball guy, Mets extraordinary analyst, and also from the Baseball Banter Show, Mr. Justin Gianelli. And guys, how you doing here tonight on a Friday?
I think you know. I think you well know.
Well, I'm gonna go right for the jugular here because I know I'm way behind. I'm watching this guy Max Scherzer, and I watched him last weekend against the Braves here, and I know Anthony Finkel's late start tonight. Yeah, it's late start because obviously we're watching the Met game, and I was watching it with other people, and we'll try to get through as much as we can. But I'm watching this guy Max Scherzer, and something tells me here that this guy. I don't know what he's got left in the tank. Is he another Tom Glavine? Is the Mets get him when they usually get these guys? So I'm going to go to Rob Maraska first because obviously he's the guy that's probably seen like every New York Met game in history. And Max Scherzer laid definitely, I think, two bombs here to say the least over the past week. And Mr. Maraska, where does this New York Mets team go from here after probably one of the more bigger duds I've seen in a playoff home opener in a long time?
Well, it just, it's up to DeGrom now. It becomes a one-game playoff for the Mets is basically what it becomes now. And, that was pretty good comparing him to Glavine because you get that feel now. But I think I really think that he's hurting. I don't know if that oblique is bothering him, but something is going on. He's not pitching like he usually pitches. And you know what? Tonight, it started last week in Atlanta. Okay. All they had to do was win one game. That's it. One game. And they look like they didn't even show up. It was disgusting.
This was abominable. This was, and I'll get to Justin, I'll get to Chris, but this was an abomination. I mean, this was embarrassing. I mean, they might as well have just said, you know what? The San Diego Padres, you can have tonight because they didn't even bother. Certainly, the first inning sets the tone, and you have Pete Alonso up there first and third, and we saw how that ended up. And let me get to Anthony Finkel because he's given me a nice comment. I want to read it here before I get to more people. He says, "Happy birthday to my good buddy, my brother in arms, the man, the myth, the legend, Thomas Bryce. A legend was born today." Well, I'll say to that, Anthony J. Finkel, the check is definitely in the mail. I definitely owe you for the kind words. And thank you very much. I'm only kidding. Of course, Anthony has been one of my longest friends for a very, very long time. And always grateful for Anthony Finkel being with us. Always grateful for his support over the years and our friendship. And I guess Jamie Sanders we could throw in there, and we're in kind of a text thread together. But leave Jamie aside. Anthony Finkel, thank you as always, my brother, and definitely love you, man. And Anthony Finkel also says, Justin looking distraught. Mets didn't show up tonight. Pretty much, Justin. I mean, where do we go from here then with this Mets team? I don't think I have to say much more than what was stated.
It's very rare, Tom. By the way, I'd like to wish you a happy birthday.
Thanks,
it's very
Happy
rare,
birthday,
Tom, that I am
Happy birthday, Tom.
I've had enough birthday wishes for like the last 10 years, so I appreciate
You're
it.
good. You're good now.
Yeah, I'm good, man. At this point, I'm getting sick of the birthday wishes, but go ahead, Justin. Talk with me.
It's very rare that I'm at a complete loss for words, but I'm at a complete loss for words. I mean, I did figure it was going to be a little bit tough sledding with the runs. I knew you Darvish were going to go out there and pitch well, but the last thing I expected, was for Max Scherzer to lay an egg like this. And, I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't care that he's not 100% because you know what? If that oblique's an issue, then you shouldn't have been out there pitching. It's simple as that. It's not an excuse. You're out there. You're expected to pitch the way you're supposed to. And he didn't. He deserved every bit of the booze that he got when he left the mound in the fifth inning because he flat out sucked. And yeah,
That was embarrassing. I mean,
Yeah.
you're giving up home runs to guys that were hitting 180. Even Josh Bell, the Josh Bell home run. I mean, Josh Bell, what did he hit? Like 110 after he
they
got
showed
traded?
the stat the very pitch before. He hit like 301 with the Nationals this year and batted like 196 with the Padres. And it's one thing to give up a bunch of home runs to the Braves because that's who they are.
They're a good lineup.
Okay?
No, they're a good
It's
lineup.
disappointing. What he did last week in Atlanta was disappointing, but you kind of were like, it's the Braves, arguably the best offense in baseball. This is a middle of the road offense, honestly.
At best.
The Padres are
At best.
At best. The Padres have an okay lineup. And Juan Soto didn't even go deep in this game. So this is just embarrassing all around. And obviously, you turn to Jacob deGrom tomorrow, and you just hope he has enough. Because you know what? Because honestly, I'm going to tell you right now, this is his last start as a Met.
Well, I mean, it very well could be.
No.
Well, I want to get to you, Chris, in a second.
Wait a minute. That was a but. Wait. You got to let him explain that.
I want to get into the fact that Anthony Finkel called my friend Jamie Sanders a poser, but go ahead.
How is that going to happen? With all this, they're not going to trade him with that contract, right?
He's going to opt out.
Oh, deGrom. I'm sorry. I thought you meant Scherzer.
deGrom.
Yeah, you're correct. You're right. Well,
all right. Well, then
let's hope it's not.
You know what? But you know what? Honestly, at this point, they could trade Scherzer too.
No, I don't think they're going to trade him.
I've had enough of that.
No.
Well, I think, listen, before I get to Chris, I think with Scherzer, I know the numbers look good during the season, but the starts that counted most, unfortunately, he didn't deliver. And Chris, I mean, obviously, I heard the Talking Rivals, and I was actually hearing you and Patrick talk about this a bit here, talking about the Mets, and there's certainly their struggles here and blowing this lead to some extent, and the Padres. And maybe it's also the fact that people didn't give the San Diego Padres enough credit, because I thought they had a good September. I thought that they have a very good 1-2-3 combo in their own right with Musgrove, Snell, and Darvish. And yes, the lineup isn't great, but they've got good starting pitching, and they scored just enough runs to win. And they had their own troubles in the second half, and they were able to overcome it and make the postseason here. And maybe that's what it is, Chris. Maybe I think Met fans and other fans across the league maybe didn't give the San Diego Padres enough credit.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it, sure. Because they're in the division with the Dodgers, so they're
89 games this year. 89 games. They're no joke.
Yeah, no, that they still had a good season, and they were horrible against the Dodgers too. On top of that, so I think
almost everybody was. They were 111-51 this year.
I think fans from afar, see that, and they don't really take this team too serious. Even though Manny Machado's he's also having an MVP season.
Yep.
That's another guy you could add to the list of MVP candidates in the National League. There's about 6 or 7. I think we talked about it. But, I mean, this is shocking. I mean, listen, I did not expect this to happen. I expected it to be a low-scoring game. Both pitchers pitching good, maybe a 4-3 game, and then a battle of the bullpens. And then you kind of got to put that into, I would have to put that into the Mets' advantage. But then again, the Padres with Hader, he's finally pitching the way he used to pitch, early in the season. So maybe it wasn't that big of an advantage, even with Diaz being, basically unhittable this year. So, right. This is shocking. Like Justin said, if he's hurt in any way, and if it's hindering him to pitch up to his level, then he should not be in there. It's as simple as that. So if they're throwing him out there when he's 85%, no, that's not good enough. You got to throw deGrom out there, and then you follow him up with Bassett, right? Then game 3, if you're split 1-1, then you figure it out. Who do you want? Do you want to bring back Scherzer at 85% or whatever he is right now? So that's something that I think we'll find out after the season ends. But hopefully for the Met fans and you guys, hopefully, they'll come back tomorrow. And I think they will. I don't think they're going to go down 2-0. I really don't. I think the DeGrom pitch is good and you guys even it up. And then game 3, who knows what's going to happen.
Well, that better be the case here. And let me get to a few comments. Anesta Glenn, of course, who does a great job with her business, says, "Happy birthday, Tom. We love you, Big Daddy. Obviously, appreciate the support. Obviously, Anthony Finkel, I know definitely his better half, if I can say that on the air. But obviously, thank you for that. And Anthony says, I owe you a burger at Duffy's. And I shouldn't say this, but actually, this is where I was, actually, where somebody else in state senate candidate Joseph Tyrone, who I guess we've had an interesting relationship. For those that know him, we've had an interesting last 5 months, and he actually, I guess, made up for the last 5 months with the burger at Duffy's, and he goes on about that. Also, Joey Bostrom, who's here with us. Obviously, Joey, thank you for the voicemail. I did get your voicemail, and I didn't get a chance to return it. He says happy birthday as well. But Rob Moroska, you've watched a lot of Met games, and this was tough one here to take. I mean, now what do you look for here with DeGrom tomorrow night? I mean, he didn't look good himself either these last couple of starts in Oakland and Atlanta. I mean, so where do we go from here then with DeGrom?
No, he didn't. Before I get to that, I just wanted to say one thing. These guys have heard me bitch all week to the game because of my surgery. It's actually the first Mets playoff game I've missed since 1986. And you want to know something?
Well, maybe you should have missed this one. Maybe you should have watched it all together.
I'm glad I wasn't there tonight.
This kind of worked out well for you, Rob.
Yeah, a good one for you to miss, right? Good one.
Yeah.
Saved a good amount of money.
DeGrom has to, he's got to win tomorrow. He didn't look good in Atlanta either. I don't know what to think right now. Chris doesn't think the Mets are going to go out without a fight, but they haven't looked like they've had a fight in them in two important series. In between, they kicked some butt against the Washington Nats, but, big deal. It didn't matter. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
They had an interesting, listen, the last month for this Met team, I mean, the Cubs, they get swept by. They struggled with the Marlins. They struggled with the Nationals. I mean, there were teams that they really struggled with. This was a Mets team that, they just didn't, they had their moments. And then they're going to have some moments here tomorrow. And Anthony Finkel says Tyrone ordered the chili. Yeah, he actually did order the chili again, but he did order dessert. So he ordered an almond cake. Actually wasn't too bad. It looked actually pretty good on his part. So I'll give him that. He ordered, I think, he ordered a soda, I think, and a almond cake, almond cheesecake, and he ordered a chili. So I'll give him a pass, not a mulligan, but I'll give him a pass on that. But Justin, I mean, I really don't know what to say. I'm going to go to the other teams in a second, but I mean, Rob Moroska makes a great point about the Mets. They really haven't shown any life in them. So what do you do? What do you say if you Buck Showalter now? What do you say to this team? What do you do? I mean, walk me through that process.
I don't know really what there is to say. I mean, it's not going to automatically make these bats start hitting. It's not, and we could talk about Scherzer's struggles all you want, and rightly so. He's the main story tonight. But at the same time, these bats aren't just going to magically wake up and hit tomorrow. They're not. So, I mean, they have to figure something out. I do expect DeGrom to go out there and do his thing. All things considered, if you look at his start, yes, we could say it wasn't really good enough against the Braves because he gave up 3 solo home runs. But other than that, all he was doing was striking people out, and he was shutting them down otherwise. I mean, he looked like he was in command, and he just left a couple pitches over the plate. Scherzer and Bassett, they had nothing against the Braves. They couldn't find the strike zone. They couldn't find their command if their life depended on them.
Well, they better find it out here soon. And let me get to a bunch of comments here. Let me get to John Gonzalez of the Sports Authorities group. And John was messaging me during the game, and he was wondering where we were. And also he says here, damn, Brute, he went to the Mets game and jinxed the Mets. Yeah, that could be a possibility. The brute force Brad Weiss, certainly, that would not surprise me whatsoever. But that is what it is. And Joey Bostrom says, if the Mets don't have life tomorrow, they're done. Well, duh. Obviously, if the Mets don't have life tomorrow, they're going to have an early offseason. There's going to be a lot of questions. But, Chris, you've always been a positive guy. One thing I've noticed about the Talking Rivals, the Liftoff Jets, and you being with us here, I even heard you a little bit on the Pinstripe Chronicles with Bobby Tats and the guys, and I want to shout out Bobby Tats. Bobby gave me a nice message as well for my birthday and on his support of the station. But, I guess in a sense it is only one game, right? I mean, the Mets still have all these hitters. They still have all these players, and on paper they are the better team. So I guess maybe there is a point that, it's one game, you move on from it, and it's win or go home anyway. Is that maybe the best way to look at it at this point if you're the manager or if anybody else in that clubhouse right now?
But maybe they're not really the better team on paper. Maybe they're pretty even. Like we said, the pitching. All right.
That's
yeah,
what I
okay.
think. That's what I think.
Right. I think they're a lot closer than people, have given them credit for.
And the Padres beat them 4 out of 6 times this year.
Right. So that shows you even more that these teams are pretty even right now. So, but I still think they're going to fight back. And tomorrow they have to show life. If they don't show life tomorrow, then you know what? I'm sorry. I know you guys don't want to hear this, but you got to fire Buck Showalter. It's as simple as that. How do you let a team? And you know what? Here's the bad thing. They didn't collapse at the end of the year, right? I hate when people said they collapsed. They really didn't. They had a bad 3 games against the Braves, no doubt about that. But other than that, they were playing, 600 ball. So it wasn't that bad. But if you collapse in this wild card round at home and don't put up a fight in 2 games, I mean, come on. Who else are you going to point the finger at?
Let me
I don't
ask
think
you.
they're going to fire Buck.
I think they should.
Question.
I think they should because Showalter has no good postseason record, on his record, right?
95 Yankees, Diamondbacks 99, Baltimore, Zach Britton. Yep, they went to the playoffs 3 times. They had very little success. I mean, he's not wrong in the sense, Rob Maraska, that this is a Met team that wins 101
Don't get me
games.
wrong. He knows.
He's a great manager. He wins 101 games. It's statistically the second best regular season in the franchise's history. But let's say if they go out tomorrow and lay another egg, I mean, Rob Maraska.
Yeah, but they're not going to fire him. I mean, they won 101 games. I mean,
But if they show lifelessness the way they did tonight and get blown out again,
they're going to give him at least one more year. I mean, let's.
Well, how do we know? Well, he's not wrong, and how do we know? It's Steve Cohn, right?
I know, and I know he hasn't games. I mean, like you said, 99, they lost against the Mets in the wild card series. Baltimore, all the times he lost. And with the Yankees, but I don't think they're going to fire him. 101 games, and remember, they have the same exact record as the Braves. But they lost last weekend. That's the whole thing. Two points I want to make. Number one, if they don't get swept by the Cubs, if they have the bye week. If they win 1 game in Atlanta, they have the bye week. So they screwed up. Yes, they definitely screwed up. And last week, watching them, and we were talking, Justin, everybody was talking. We were pissed because they looked like they had no life. Then they score a ton of runs against Washington. And then what happens today? They look like I thought.
Well, they played Washington. You answered the question. They played Washington.
Yep.
Washington.
Yeah, but they played the Cubs. The Cubs weren't great, and they lost. They got.
Yeah, but they played Washington when there was.
But how do you
on the line?
All right, you're a 101 team. How do you lose to those teams? Like, how do you get swept by the Cubs at home? Right.
That was abominable. Right? That was abominable.
How do you do that? And then
that was horrible.
And now showing no life here, no life in Atlanta.
I think they should have swept Oakland. They went to Oakland. I think they should have swept. That's a bad.
Listen, but you know what? Listen, let's forget about what they did against the Cubs. It came down to what happened in Atlanta last weekend. Let's look at it this way:
right.
Are we bitching at the Dodgers over the fact that they lost 5 out of 6 to the Pirates? No, we're not. It's baseball. Funny things happen. They lost 2 out of 3 at Dodger Stadium to the Nationals.
Yep.
It's baseball. It happens. So the Cubs series, unfortunate. It sucked, but it happens. What happened in Atlanta could not happen.
And it did.
And now they're playing in the wild card game, and now they're down to their final game.
Well, I've got a ton of comments here. Let me get to them before I get to the rest of the guys here. And John Gonzalez, which he told me this earlier tonight, said the Mets season ended when they lost 3 straight games to the Braves.
Not wrong.
Put a fork in them, they're done. Anthony Finkel says, if the Mets season ends tomorrow, it would be a massive disappointment from how dominant they were all season. They ran out of gas. Should have got a Tesla instead. Well, I was in a Tesla tonight with Joe Tyrone. I don't know if I would agree with getting a Tesla, but point taken. Scherzer getting $43 million, couldn't beat the Braves when he had to and was garbage tonight. He was definitely garbage. The last start. Joey Bosham says, when the Mets lost that series after the All-Star break against the Padres, I was praying they wouldn't have to play them.
I didn't make much of it. You know what? It was July.
either.
I didn't make much of it. The Mets did not come out of the All-Star break playing very well, and then they started to get things together. And John's absolutely right. There's no
Padres.
The Mets can win the next 2 games. As down as we are,
I think they have
absolutely win the next 2 games.
Oh,
they're not beating the Dodgers. They're not.
Here. Can I just show you guys something?
Absolutely.
Okay, here we were talking the Dodgers, like you said. The Dodgers, they're up by 20-something games or whatever. But you know what? They took care of business when they had to. Okay, in their division against Arizona. I know, crappy team, right? They beat them. They were 14-5 against Arizona. Against San Francisco, 15-4 this year. Against the Padres, we know how bad. 14-5 against them. Colorado, they were not so good, but they were 11-8 against Colorado within their division. They're not going to get swept in late September at home to Arizona, right? They're just not. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's something wrong. Like, you guys have a good team. You shouldn't be doing that.
But to your point, the Mets were great in their own division as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets were 48-28 against their division.
Right.
They went 14-5 against a team that made the postseason, the Philadelphia Phillies. They did what they had to do. They did what they had to do against the Marlins. They did what they had to do against the Nationals.
But the big series, when they had to win, what'd they do?
Hey,
right?
But you know what? This could even be traced back to August. This could even be traced back to August too, losing 3 out of 4 to the Braves because they went into the final 7
And
games.
I want to say something. I was telling everybody when Brad Weiss was saying, it's all about confidence, and I'm telling you, I'm
with him too. I agreed with him.
But you know what though? But there's a history. The Mets, and they go to Atlanta time and time again. That place, I don't care who the teams have been, who the players are, who wears the laundry, what the laundry looks like, what color it is. It's a nightmare. It's a house of horrors for them. It was almost to me like in basketball when the Knicks used to play the Bulls. They would go into the old Chicago Stadium, then in the United Center. You knew the Knicks were never coming out of there with a win.
They had 7 chances. They after winning 4 out of 5, there were 7 games left in the season series. The Mets were 8-4.
Yeah, they had the start, but they finished 9-10
games out of the next 7 to win the season series against the Braves, and they didn't do that. They went 1-6.
There's no excuses for it. Once again, we're going back to the problems we had last season with leaving runners in scoring position. What is the problem where they can't even hit a sacrifice fly?
But you know what? They were a roller
how about tonight, Alonso? Right, you've got Alonso 1st and 3rd. You got that opportunity to get back in the game, and you can't get called looking. You can't
That's an absolute. That pitch was right down the middle. That's supposed to be his happy zone. That's where he's supposed to crush it, 450 feet.
And he didn't. He just sat there. Even when you had Marte on 3rd, you had a little opportunity to get back in the game. You did nothing there. And those things, listen, there was opportunities for this team, and they didn't get the job done here. Let me get to some more comments here because people are tuned in here. And Chris is on point tonight. Chris is always on point. You want to follow Chris, of course. CP7NY on Instagram, Twitter, the Talking Rivals, at Talking Rivals, at Liftoff Jets on Twitter as well, because they do that each and every week for us. And Carlos says you're making the case that the division is weak. Joe Dell says, you got to believe. We'll certainly see. Anthony Finkel says, if you're watching the stream, everybody hit the like button. Appreciate that. If not, that's okay too. If your big pitcher gives up 1 home run, pull him out in a playoff. Well,
no, I can't do that.
I mean, you can't pull Scherzer after 1 inning. I mean,
no, you can't do that.
Too, but you knew he was out of gas.
The other thing is this team's not hitting line drives anymore. They're trying to hit home runs when they're not a home run hitting team.
They're a home run team. This team's not a home run team.
They're not. Right. But you know what? They keep trying to.
Is that pressure? Is that trying?
It's 100%. It's 100% pressure. Pete Alonso looks like he's swinging out of his shoes.
Yeah, he let with that bat. The bat flew into the stands.
He gets over-amped in these big games.
Well, they better find a way quick to adjust. This is the playoffs look forward. Wait, hold on. What was Billy Epler thinking at the trade deadline? Darren Ruff, Tyler
Oh
Naquin,
boy.
Vogelback, no
This is a whole
upgraded
other
catcher.
discussion. This is a whole other.
Well, we're gonna
only-
I'll tell you what, we might be having that discussion next week while the Mets are playing
only
golf and the Yankees are still alive.
the only player I've semi-liked, he's been kind of a roller coaster, is Daniel Vogelbach.
Yeah.
He's had
That's
his
had his
moments.
moments.
He's been good at times, but he's also
Yeah.
struggled at times.
But when he was up
And
first and
because-
third, when
and
he was
when-
up first and third, I knew he was not getting on. He was
Yeah,
not
and,
getting
and
ahead.
when the Cubs decided that they weren't trading Wilson Contreras, I was fine with riding it out with Tomas Nido, but they started playing James McCann too much.
Well, that's
Nido
just
has gotten
what a
going
bad
with the
signing
bat, and
James
he's
McCann
very
was.
good defensively, but they rode James McCann too much, and he can't hit to save his life. Tyler Naquin and Darren Ruff have been a complete waste. I don't even know why Darren Ruff's on this roster.
I don't either. That's a
I don't know
bad
how he
move.
made the postseason roster. Like, what dirt
Well,
on Billy Epler does he
Well,
have?
who else was going to make it, though?
JD Davis, right? That was supposed to be an upgrade to JD Davis. Is that
Exactly.
what that was?
You traded J.D. Davis and Thomas Zapucki and a couple of the prospects. You traded 4 players for Darren Ruff, and you've gotten absolutely nothing.
What did he get, like, four
J.D.
four
Davis
hits
hit
for
like
us?
10 home runs for the Giants
Yeah.
in the
Yep.
second half of the season.
Listen, Travis Darno, watching him, right? Every time I've seen him against us, what'd he do for us?
But he wasn't going to do anything for us anyway.
But here's the thing. J.D. Davis was really good when he came here. The
first
couple
year,
of
yeah.
years of
The
J.D.
first year.
Davis, he was really good. The last couple of years, for some reason, we couldn't unlock full-time J.D. Davis.
Well, I'll tell you
not sure
what.
where the fault lies there.
I'll tell you what, and I'm going to come back to the other teams. I want to get to the other games here, and I'll do that in a second. Smith, better than Ruff. Nito and McCann are garbage. Yeah, McCann just
McCann is absolutely useless. Nito is
Where's the dog? Probably.
He got fed up after the second home run. He jumped.
Well, I
he
think
jumped
after
off the
3-0. Listen, after 3-0, I was watching the game, and I knew it was pretty much obituary time. But I think that this game, now call me crazy, guys, on this, but I kind of think, in a way, kind of to wrap it into some of the other games, because I want to get to some of the other storylines here in the MLB playoffs as we are here on Sportswire Radio with Chris Bizet of the Talking Rivals and the Liftoff Jets, Rob Maraska and Justin Gianelli of the Baseball Banter. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. I am the station manager of Sportswire Radio. And the teams on the road today did better than the teams at home. Maybe there's something, you know what, these home teams that had pressure on them. Toronto, we saw they were just as lifeless as us with the Mets, right? We saw certainly the Cardinals and their historic collapse. And I mean, the Guardians won. Okay, fine, they won. But you know what? The road teams were 3-1. Maybe, guys, you know what? Being on the road, it's a little bit more easier than being the home team. Any of you guys buy that at all?
It's totally fair.
I believe it.
And let's go to the Seattle game for a minute, because that game intrigued me the most. You know, obviously it's the first time in 21 years that the Mariners are playing a postseason game, and they came out bats ablaze. They scored 3 in the top of the first. They sent a message immediately, and they put the pressure on Alek Manoah and the rest of the Blue Jays, just like the Mets were. They were behind from the jump, and it is sometimes hard to recover. When you're in that playoff atmosphere, the pressure of being at home, sometimes it is more comforting being on the road, because you saw how loose and free the Blue Jays played today, and the Phillies. My God, that comeback was one for the ages.
Well, and Brad Weiss, where is Brad Weiss right now? Oh, the Phillies this, the Phillies that. Where are you, Brad Weiss? You got another one wrong there, because the Phillies.
Granted, it was only a 2-run deficit in the 9th inning, but to score 6 in the 9th off Ryan Helsley, and I made this point in our chat. I mean, it goes to show you how much you could just throw out regular season stats, because Ryan Helsley had a tremendous year. You could argue behind Edwin Diaz, maybe the second best season of a closer this season was Ryan Helsley. And he couldn't find the strike zone. He spit the bit, and they lost.
Well, he's got some kind of problems. His middle finger, right? It went numb on him or something.
Numbness. So I mean, maybe he couldn't control the baseball. I don't know, but to have your closer do that in that situation is why you could throw out regular season numbers.
And listen, why did the manager wait to take him out after he walks the bases loaded? Take him out. Like, he's got nothing. He's throwing the ball all over the place. He's not even hitting the catcher at that point. Just take him out.
But that is right there where the regular season plays into the head of a rookie manager. He is his first managerial experience of the postseason, and he didn't think, "Oh crap, my guy doesn't have it. Let me scramble to get somebody up." He didn't do that, and it cost him. Maybe a veteran manager says after the first two guys, like, "Okay, something's not right here. Let me get insurance up in the bullpen because I have to win this game."
And it was only a 2-0 game. It's not like I can understand. Listen, if it was 6-0, all right, let's give him one more batter. Let's give you play that game. But
no,
2-0 game.
Again, that's
when the Cardinals was 63-0. I think when leading 2 runs or more in the ninth inning in the post.
93-0 in their history.
I didn't realize they played that many playoff games in the Cardinals' history. 93 playoff games.
They have.
They've been around a while.
I think they're second to the Yankees.
I didn't realize they had 93 games, but that's my point.
Listen, they went 90. You know what they need? You know what the Cardinals need tomorrow? They need Mike Foltynewicz to show up.
Well, they're going to need something. But the point is to me,
he showed up all year.
But the point is to me that
I don't even think he's pitched in the big leagues.
They haven't. Listen, playing at home is not easy. I always think about it, and when I equate it to the NHL, and the NHL, you see it all the time. And teams are at home versus the teams on the road. Sometimes you play loose, you have no pressure at all, and we'll see it happens here. And I'll get to some more comments here. And Seattle, Castillo, great pitcher. Seattle definitely has a good rotation. That might be able to carry them there. At the end of the day, it's Houston versus Los Angeles. End of story. Fast forward. Well, we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Bosa.
I disagree with that, actually.
Why do you disagree?
I don't think anybody in the National League beating Atlanta.
Yeah, I can see the Braves beating the Dodgers. Definitely.
You know what? I don't trust Atlanta. I don't trust LA at the back end of their bullpen. You know, one of the things that we will find out over the weekend, or I'm guessing Tuesday morning is when the LDS rosters are due. You know, whether it's the wildcard teams advancing or the teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, Astros, and Braves who have the bye. We got to see how they deploy their bullpen and how they're going to use who they're going to use in the ninth inning. I'm not sure if Blake Trinan's healthy. They could use Brusdar Graterol because they certainly can't use Craig Kimbrell in the ninth inning. He's been horrendous this year. And the Dodgers, despite all their talent, had that major question looming at the back end of their bullpen. And, you know, one thing they did say is that even though they didn't specify the order, Julio Urias and Clayton Kershaw are going to get the first 2 games. Now, again, we don't know which order it'll be, but so they got the starting pitching. They got the lineup that could beat anybody, but the back end of that bullpen is very, very shaky. And Atlanta, it seems like Kenley Jansen started to find himself again, and that's an X factor going down the stretch. You got guys like AJ Minter, you have Raisel Iglesias, who have been absolutely lights out for the Braves. The Braves bullpen might be one of the best bullpens we've seen in years. And that's going to be hard to beat. And you know what? They have that clutch X factor where they always find a way to get the big hit, whether it's Austin Riley, whether it's Dansby Swanson.
How about Michael Harris for them this year?
Michael Harris has been fantastic for them.
Yep.
And we'll see.
He came up from Double A.
I mean, and they got Ozuna batting
second base. They've been
bottom
going
of
with
the lineup.
Orlando Arcia, but you know,
how about Dansby Swanson? I mean, Met fans are going to remember his name for years and years.
But you know what? In a contract year too, he's made himself a lot of money.
Definitely.
Oh, he definitely has. There's no question that he's definitely made a lot of money for himself, and certainly Met fans find a new.
You know what? I
killer.
Personally, I think Atlanta's coming out of the National League. I'm not so sure out of the American League. I'm not sure. I think it could be Houston, but
you really believe in Cleveland or the Yankees or Seattle?
Seattle, to me, along with the Yankees, they're right up there with the Yankees. I think they pose a big threat to the Astros. I really do. And, you're going to get, if they win tomorrow or if they win the series, you would get Seattle against Houston. And I think that could be a big danger spot for the Astros.
That could be the winner of that series.
Look at the Mariners went into Houston, and Houston handled them pretty well also, though. Houston handled Seattle very well during the regular season.
Yeah, they did. But you know what? Throw that out in the postseason.
Well, it didn't carry over for the Mets because the Padres beat up on the Mets in the regular season.
Factor, and they have the postseason experience too.
Let me get to some more comments because I got several of them here. And Carlos Otoro says Toronto was at home; they didn't play well. Yeah, kind of like the Mets. John Gonzalez is awesome. I love John Gonzalez. He says Brute was sitting at a box seat as a special guest of James Dolan. Well, I'll tell you what, he was sitting somewhere. And I can tell you his train ride right now on the Long Island Railroad, if he went on the Long Island Railroad, no, actually, knowing him, he probably drove to Citi Field. His drive home to Plainview is probably not a very good one. So I would not want to be in the Weiss family car right now. And shout out, of course, to his Aunt Laura, his mother who gave me birthday wishes. So shout outs to them. And Carlos here says one of those teams will not make it both, but the Dodgers are playing with fool's gold. Dodgers team riding the batting average of like three main guys. Freddie Freeman certainly is one of them. My take is the Cards come back and beat Philly. Yeah, I wouldn't count out the Cardinals. The Cardinals, I still wouldn't count them out.
No,
Yankees
you could chalk it up to a fluke game, but
Yankees will knock off the Guardians.
Be careful what you wish for with that, John, because you know what? One thing that Cleveland does have going for them is they have tremendous starting pitching.
Good ball too.
Was fantastic today against Shane McClanahan. That was an ace battle.
I was talking about with the Guardians last night with somebody. We were going over the different playoff games, and it was a friend of mine, and we were talking. And I said, the Cleveland Guardians. If I would have told you that the Cleveland Guardians clinched their division before the New York Yankees, would you have believed me? And the guy said, no, but I said it actually happened because the Cleveland Guardians ended their season going 51-28, their last 79 games of the season, and they played really well.
Everybody picked the White Sox. I would imagine, including all of us here.
Well, I was hearing Chris on his show with Patrick talk about some of the disappointments of the season. And pretty much, I know the Giants came up, Milwaukee to an extent, but I think by and large,
I thought the Giants would fall back. I didn't know if they were.
Yes, you did. I remember that you did.
Milwaukee, definitely a disappointment. I thought they would definitely be good this year. But the White Sox, the biggest disappointment in all of baseball. Yep. And
I think the White Sox were the glaring disappointment because I think
absolutely. And I personally, I had them preseason pick for the World Series.
You had them at 5 wins? Was it 105 wins?
I don't know if I gave a full win total, but I thought triple digits for sure. But
hey, we all thought they were going to win that division.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? Hats off to Terry Francona. And one thing that the Guardians have that the Yankees don't is a lockdown closer. Emmanuel Clase has been absolutely incredible for them this year. And you know what? Who's going to pitch the ninth inning for the Yankees?
We don't know.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we're going to find out next week. And
I hope we do.
Shane Bieber stepped up. He definitely had a great performance. Joey Bostrom, he still keeps calling them the Indians, but I don't think you want to get canceled, Joey Bostrom. You work for Amazon.
You know what? Like I said before, you could call them the Cleveland Naps.
Well, I'm just trying to give Joey Bostrom, a longtime friend of mine, some very friendly advice. You want to call them the Guardians because you do work for Amazon. You don't want to
at the end of the game, they were promoting for tomorrow's game. It said Rays versus Indians.
Yeah, they screwed up.
Well, they haven't drawn that many fans in that ballpark this year. So attendance has been poor like a lot of other cities.
No, but you know what? That place was packed today.
No, they were. No, Cleveland's always, when they're in the postseason, they always draw. That's always a good atmosphere. And they are still a baseball town. But the Yankees' nemesis and will continue to be Houston. Sorry, Chris.
I totally agree.
We'll find out.
If they beat them, they will be their nemesis. Absolutely.
White Sox and La Russa, yeah, definitely. I think the biggest,
the Astros are the Braves to the Mets right now.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. Yeah, 100.
The only difference is you're not in the same division. You didn't get to
Right.
see him 19 times.
Right, exactly.
Well, I think the Mets are going to probably breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief next year because we only face them,
schedule,
12 times now, 12 or 13
and
times.
And get this, I saw this from our old friend Justin Toscano, who used to cover the Mets and now is down in Atlanta.
We know Justin well.
I think he said something like August 24th through the 26th will be the last time those two teams see each other next year.
Well, I think Mets fans are going to certainly breathe a little bit of sigh of relief here in the fact that they're going to play the Atlanta Braves at least 6 fewer times. And we're here on Sportswire Radio speaking all the latest happenings here in the world of sports. And if you like what you hear from us on Sportswire Radio, you can give us a like anytime on Facebook at Sportswire Radio on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager of Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryce. And Rob Maraska, I know that you have a contest. I know you're not going to be with us here as long as the other guys here because we'll probably hang out here for the 40 or 45 minutes. I know you got a contest coming up here that you're giving away something that people might like to hear about, like to know. They can get involved in it. So for those that are listening and watching this on Sportswire Radio, talk about the latest giveaway contest that you have and how can people get involved in it.
Okay, I have another Tops Now contest. This one is a card celebrating Aaron Judge's 62nd run. This card sold out really, really fast, but I was lucky with my connections to get a few of them, and I'm going to give one of them away on Twitter to people who, first of all, watch us on Sportswire. They have to follow me. They have to retweet it, and they have to. They also have to tag someone. Everything will be on Twitter after the show tonight. But it's a really cool card. It's hard to get.
Can you repeat what that card was? Because you got cut off. If you don't mind, can you repeat the contest? Yep.
Okay, it's a card celebrating Aaron Judge's 62nd home run.
Okay.
And it's sold out really fast. I was able with my connections to get a couple of them, and I'm going to give one away. So it's a pretty cool card. It's on its way. I got a picture of it, and I'm going to post that on Twitter.
And that card I'm assuming is going to be in a protective sleeve and
they always are.
Stuff.
Yeah, I mailed them.
Okay. All right. So we can follow you on Twitter at @rmaraska for all information as well on that Facebook, Rob Maraska as well. And I'll obviously share the clip as well tomorrow on Sportswire Radio's pages.
Yes, definitely. Thanks. So like I said, it's a really cool card for Yankee fans or for any fan, and it's a good card to have.
Yeah, you offered me one. I'm like, you know what? Give it to the people that would, want to get involved.
No, I offered you the Mets one, but it looks like that might not happen.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. And even if you offered me something, I'd say there is many people out there that deserve to have a shot at it, and I would certainly gladly plead the fifth on that. And John Gonzalez says, pick me. Yeah, maybe pick John Gonzalez. I mean, he might have a shot.
My friend Rick Lewis won the first one, and I didn't even know it was him until he.
Oh, that must have been interesting. Yes, we know Rick Lewis very well on Sportswire Radio. Washington Nationals fan, Rick Lewis. Yes. I'm sure that was a rather interesting thing here. And I know that you got to run here and such, Mr. Maraska. So, I mean, is there anything else you want to say about tomorrow for this Met team? Anything else that's on your mind? Because I know that, anytime we have with you, certainly appreciated and such. So, anything else you'd like to say before you move on?
I think DeGrom's going to pitch a good game tomorrow. The Mets bats just have to come alive. I mean, everyone's saying, well, maybe it's less pressure playing away, but we saw last week in Atlanta for the Mets, that's not the case. They go to Atlanta, forget about it. They have to use this home. This crowd was wild tonight, and they were quieted in the.
Yeah, I tell you what, the crowd. I mean, I know Justin was talking about the crowds and how they kind of were spotty at best. I mean, I was even watching the series against the National. The weather was terrible here in New York, but still, there was some really, really low crowds here in New York throughout the month, and the crowd definitely brought it. They were definitely loud, and unfortunately, the Mets gave them no real reasons to cheer. And certainly, I expect Citi Field to be rocking tomorrow night.
I think it will. You know what? I think it will. And I just listened to a little bit of the post game, and Jake was at the podium, and if he could translate that excitement from the press conference onto the field tomorrow. I think we're in for a big time outing.
Good,
I'll
and
tell
I'm
you what.
looking forward to it.
Go ahead, Rob. Jump in.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night's game, and we'll see. I think he's going to pitch a good game.
And Carlos Arturo Chavez is going to be there tomorrow. And where are you sitting tomorrow? I mean, how much did you pay for your ticket? Because I know the brute force Brad Weiss told us he paid, I think, $175 for his ticket. I was offered tickets, and then somebody Wednesday night I was out and said, "Oh, you're on Sportswire Radio." I said, "Yes, I am. Can you get me a ticket?" I'm like, "I can't get a ticket. What do you think I am?" In wrestling, I can get you something. But in baseball, if you ask me for wrestling, I can get you something. I can get you a ticket somewhere. I can get you a connection. But I'm not Major League Baseball playoff game. Sorry, but that was my thought. That he said 130. Now, is that the section you're in, or is that how much you paid for the ticket? For the game coming up here.
Well, Section 136 is out in left field, so maybe.
He just needs a season ticket hold.
Oh, okay.
No kidding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
I am
Jonathan,
too. I am too, but the playoff prices that they offered was a lot of money.
So you didn't buy a playoff game? Did you have an opportunity to buy a ticket?
No, it was too expensive, and the secondary market where he's sitting. Where he's sitting.
Yeah, I can get you in there, John. Don't worry about that one. That's an easy one, John. I can get you in that one.
Where Carlos is sitting on the secondary market is between like 120 and 130.
All right, that's not bad. That reminds me of when I had Islander tickets, and you get the first round would be like 125-ish, then the second round would be like 250-ish. So that sounds about right.
They offered strips, so it's like
okay,
half strip A, half strip B, and they were like $1,800 each.
Oof. Could you have? Well, I hate to.
But you get like a game in a potential wild card game. You get a potential divisional game.
Would it have been better for you to? Could you have bought the tickets and then sold them and made your money back, or no?
Yeah, you could do that.
I probably could have. Yeah, but that was just a lot.
Okay, I got you.
Who did that? I definitely would have been there tonight and tomorrow, but.
Anything else you want to say, Mr. Maraska, before we let you move on? I know, like I said, your time is very valuable and such, and with your injury, unless you want to hang out with us, it's up to you. I know.
No, I do, but I can't. Next week, hopefully, I could be on a little longer.
Okay.
As this progresses. But it was great to be back. Great to talk to you guys. Hopefully next week we'll be talking some good things about the Mets. But we
got the Yankees still. Got the Yankees still. I want to give
the Yankees and we got this contest, and I think a lot of people are going to try to win this card because, like I said, it's sold out in no time, and I was lucky to get a couple of them. So, anyway, thanks, guys. It was good to be back, and I'll talk to you guys in the chats.
All right, that was Rob Maraska here, our longest tenured analyst, and certainly we look forward to his contest and how that develops. And we also have from John Gonzalez, Anthony Finkel has to pick up my tab. No, that would be state Senate candidate Joe Tyrone could pick that up because he had $100 bills coming out of his pocket. So that's the guy who drives a Tesla who can pick up your tab, John Gonzalez. You could tell him Tom Bryce said to pick up your tab, John Gonzalez. So I'm sure that Mr. Tyrone will be more than happy to do that. Carlos Arturo Chavez says, yup, it's available, but if the team doesn't move on, it goes toward next season. That's fair enough. Let's come back to the Yankees, because I do want to at least spend a few minutes on some of these other playoff games and playoff series and scenarios, but I want to talk about Aaron Judge because Aaron Judge, obviously, since we last went on the air, wound up hitting his 62nd home run in Texas, and certainly was a special moment. And Chris, I wanted to get your reaction. I heard a little bit of it with you and the Talking Rivals earlier this week, but just talk about the moment here. Aaron Judge finally does it. It looked like it took him almost literally to those final at-bats, but he does it. And, just what was your feelings and everything going on through your mind when Mr. Judge makes history?
Yeah, you know what? I think it was a big relief just for him because – it seemed like, and I even said it, I think it was after he hit number 59, I think it was, against Pittsburgh that night. After that, it was all stress from that day forward because they were giving, the new balls all the time, and the fans were like totally silent when he was up to bat. It was getting ridiculous. The Maris family was there, his family was there. So I think the stress and it was definitely getting to him. And I felt better for him after he got number 62. It would have been great that he did it if he did it at home, but he didn't. you know what? Good for him, man. Just an amazing season he had. I know he's not the major league record holder, right? Bonds is. That's great. But he's still the American League holder. Still an amazing season. Probably going to win the MVP. So, but yeah, it felt good. I felt good for the guy. You know, he seems like a good dude off the field too.
I like him. I'll be honest with you. I like the guy.
Right?
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him.
It was good, man. It was a good thing. It was good for baseball. You know, cutting into everything, whether it was college football on the weekend or whatever, showing it. I thought that was pretty cool. It's good for the game. You know, we haven't had that for Major League Baseball since, you know, when McGuire and Sosa were doing it. So,
well, Cabrera did win the Triple Crown. I mean, I do think Cabrera winning the Triple Crown several years back, that was pretty big. That was a big moment.
Yeah, but it's not something you're going to cut into a game to show because he wasn't chasing, right? I mean, so I'm saying in that matter, it was good. It was good for the game because it was getting more eyes and, you know, people following that race and everything like that. So, but yeah, it was cool.
John Gonzalez says Judge is a humble guy. Just like, no, the Brute Force Brad. Let me tell you something. The Brute Force Brad Weiss is not. Well, he is a humble guy, but he's a big talkative guy. I don't think Aaron Judge talks like the Brute Force Brad Weiss. That's one thing I will say. And Carlos Otoro Chavez says sucks that the Yankees lost. So dumb. I guess what they didn't get 100 wins. Is that what we're talking about? They got 99 wins. Was that pretty much what he was referring to? Because
I don't know.
I know Joey Bostrom said he was kind of disappointed the Yankees didn't win 100 games. But, Justin, I mean, Aaron Judge, I didn't get a chance to ask you since we've been on the air since, and he does make history finally, and he literally did it up until almost every available bat that he had. But certainly a tremendous milestone, I think, very, very worthy player to make history. And just give me your reactions and thoughts here as we go into the Yankees and talk about their season here as we go forward.
I gotta tell you, what a contract year. I mean, to do this with impending free agency was absolutely incredible. You know what? It is a special moment that deserves to be celebrated. But I gotta tell you, I think it was a little bit. I think it was a little too much of the cutting into the Judge at bats. Because to be honest, like on Saturday, if you're watching Nebraska, Iowa, you don't care about Aaron Judge. You don't. You know, you're there to watch college football. You don't care.
But I remember them cutting in '98 with McGuire. I do remember '98.
Yeah. I think that was. I think that. But you know what? I think back then it was a bigger deal. I really do, because you know what?
I think this was a big deal too. This was a big deal.
You know what? I do, but I don't. The reason why it was a big deal because he's a New York Yankee. Let's not sugarcoat it. You know,
I would say the one difference. The difference was that Sosa and McGuire were basically in a race.
It was a home run chase. This was Judge doing this by himself with no real threat behind him. If I'm not mistaken.
No, but he's chasing the number though. He wasn't chasing another guy. He was chasing the Roger Maris number, which is very.
I thought this was big. I did feel this was
big. It was more fun because it was used to basically save baseball in the 90s after the strike. And two, there was two of them doing it. So they were not only battling the number, they were battling McGuire and Sosa were battling each other. And remember, Griffey was up there for a long time too, before he kind of faded late. But you know, it only was a big deal because he's a Yankee. Let's not sugarcoat it. Because if you remember 5 years ago, Giancarlo Stanton finished with 59 home runs.
I know. I was thinking about that.
Zero press. It got zero press. They weren't.
Yeah, but I never felt that he was
cutting into at bats because he did have 14 attempts in the last few games of the year to hit 60, and he didn't. So listen, he was a Miami Marlin. Judge is a Yankee. Two things aren't the same. And the uniform had more to do with it than the number itself.
Yeah, but also you got to remember, though, this was the American League record. Right?
Fair, absolutely.
Right, when Stan was doing it, Stan was doing it National League. It's different. That National League record is set.
But I got to tell you, if a Minnesota Twin is going after 61, I don't think he really gets a lot of press. I don't. It is the uniform. Yes, it's the American League record, and now he's the single season American League home run champion with 62 home runs.
To a certain point, but I think if he's at 60,
he did it for the Yankees, which, by the way, Roger Maris did it for the Yankees. Babe Ruth did it for the Yankees.
Right.
So the uniform has a lot to do with it.
To a certain extent, I'll agree. But listen, if let's say Minnesota, Brian Buxton is doing it, number 60. They're cutting in on that guy.
I'm with you because I just remember.
I don't know.
It's a big number in the American League.
You know what? I don't know about that, but I'll give you this. If it was Mike Trout, they're 100% doing it.
Of course.
Shohei Ohtani, they would cut in. If Albert Pujols in his prime, they would cut in David Ortiz.
Let's debate this for a second. Mike Trout had 40 home runs and missed 42 games. He could have easily gone on a streak to hit 60.
Oh, absolutely.
If you do the math, he would have had 36, 40. He would have had, about 55 home runs, 54, 55 home runs?
He would have cleared 50, no problem.
Well,
but at least he would have been. At least it would have been a chase, like you said.
And you know what? If it was Judge versus Trout, especially considering everybody could still widely consider Trout as the overall best player in the game, and I still subscribe to that. He had an incredible year again, and despite some injuries, still showed how great he is. Judge may have had is the best player in baseball because of the season he had, but I mean, if you had those two going after it, that would have been epic. And I would have loved it even more. And I did start to enjoy a little bit but it also got very tiresome. It took so long. Like he hit 60 on September the 20th, and on October, I think 2nd it was.
Well, he had a lot of. He walked a lot. He had some. He pressed a little bit. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, he was pressing.
He was
that last week.
I'm happy he did it though.
You know when I knew he was hitting 62?
When
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the last at bat of that game 1, and he slammed his helmet down in the dugout.
Oh, right.
All right, Judge it in the next game.
Let me get to a bunch of comments because I think John Gonzalez has got a couple. He says, it doesn't matter if you win 100 games. Seattle won 116 in 2001 and lost to the Yankees. Good point. I agree with you there, John. Props to Roger Maris. Nobody back then wanted Maris to break Ruth's record. They really wanted Mantle. Maris wasn't a homegrown Yankee, and Ruth was a Yankee guy. Yeah, because, listen, Roger Maris, again,
that's the other thing about the Roger Maris home run record is he was in a chase too, like McGuire and Sosa, because Mantle was right there with him for a while before he gets hurt at the end.
But Maris was also booed that whole time.
And Mantle, I think, if I'm not mistaken, was in the running for the Triple Crown also that year. He already won a Triple Crown. I mean, Mantle certainly was in his own era, his own league at that particular moment. And think about it.
He's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. So.
And Maris, if you look at Maris's career, I mean, honestly, it's always been a debate. Should Roger Maris be in the Hall of Fame? But
I don't know. You know what? His numbers don't. His overall numbers don't impress me.
He had not a big. Four great years, right? But for the moment, that would be the argument. Like how Jackie, not to compare, but Jackie Robinson was in the Hall of Fame because he broke the color barrier. Roger Maris had broke the Major League home run record. Not to compare, but certainly could you make the point because of that one moment? Should that enter you in the Hall of Fame? And he does have an MVP award, also 2 MVP awards. In fact, Roger Maris.
Yep,
7-time All-Star.
I
don't know. Good numbers. He never hit 40 home runs again. He came close the year he won MVP in 60.
What do you have? 100 runs batted in like 4 times in his career, 3 or 4 times, and
3 times in a row. He got 39. He had 39 the year before and 33 the year after, and then after that,
kind of dropped off.
Yep.
I would only put him in because of the symbolism of the symbolism of that moment. I don't know if his career's Hall of Fame value.
You know what though? It's not. But you make that point. Now it's too late because now he doesn't.
He died in 1985. It doesn't. It would be.
I understand that, but I'm just saying your case is still compelling if he was the home run record holder. Now he's not because Judge passed him.
Sure. There's no question
that season it's gonna. I wouldn't say it totally gets lost in time, it's gonna become more distant.
Well, because again, there's the generation of people that saw that moment are not going to be with us. I mean, think about it. If you
Right,
were
and
a
also
kid
too, the next person that goes after a home run record, they're chasing Aaron Judge in the
right,
American League
right.
at least. Or if you subscribe to him being the clean champion, and you believe 62 is the home run record, and you discredit everything that Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds do, then now Judge is the guy you're chasing, not Roger Maris. So Roger Maris is going to ultimately be forgotten in this case as time goes on. It's now going to be Aaron Judge.
You know what? It's going to be a while because I was going to say in the American League, you only got 3 guys that hit 60 or more.
That's
you know
what
I mean?
point.
So whenever that number comes up, like if Trout, let's say if Trout stays healthy next year and he goes on a tear and he gets close to 60, you're going to hear Roger Maris's name come up. You're going to hear, he's chasing Judge's record, but you're going to hear, he's chasing Ruth first and then Maris.
There haven't been that many guys that have come close.
It's not like Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
I mean, Babe Ruth's a bad example because Babe Ruth is
he's
so
always
incredible. He'll never be forgotten.
No.
But it also depends on how you view the record. Like for me, that's great for Judge, and yes, he's the American champion. But I'm still going to view Barry Bonds as the single season home run champion. And you know what? It's not going to be debatable. That greatest season I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah, and Barry Bonds had several of them from 2000.
You know what? Judge made it awfully close. His 2022 season is, it was almost a 1 Bond status.
And he did it. He was pretty consistent pretty much throughout. I mean, he didn't really drop off much. I mean, he really had a pretty consistent year. We're talking 311, 62 home runs. I think 132 runs batted in and 111 walks. I mean, I really just statistically speaking, it's a really special year. And John Gonzalez makes a great point, which I've always heard people tell me of, is that Mantle would have hit over 70 easy. He was just always hurt. Mantle was a horse with that short porch in the old Yankee Stadium. And it's a fair point because
it's not a really crazy thought,
And Mickey Mantle played on one leg. He played on one leg.
Mantle got hurt early in his career. If he never hurt his knee there,
I think he was still a rookie when Mantle ripped up his knee.
Yep.
And while he was still a great player, still had a lot left, it did diminish.
Not just the injury,
medicine not being as advanced as it is 60 plus years later, definitely hurt.
Add in all the drinking and the partying he did too.
Wow.
And he still performed at this level. Can you imagine if he stayed clean, not clean, but didn't drink like he did and he didn't get hurt?
There was thoughts he was going to be the one to pass Babe Ruth.
Oh, he without a doubt would have broke Babe Ruth's record easily.
Yeah. From a time period, he was ahead of Aaron, so he would have broken the Babe first.
Yep. No, Mantle, listen, and I'll say this, and Chris and John will appreciate this, Gonzalez, because they're Yankee fans. One of my first early memories of baseball, unfortunately, was the death of Mickey Mantle, and I remember it was national coverage. Bob Costas had did the service, if I recall correctly. He had did the eulogy, and it was almost like a president had died. I'm a little kid, and I'm watching Mickey Mantle, and I hear only very vaguely heard of him, and I just see all the people that were there at his funeral. It was such a big deal, and in 1995, that was. I still remember it very vividly.
I was too young for that. I remember the press.
I'm only a little older than you, so that's why that's my first real memory.
I remember the DiMaggio passing more.
I remember the DiMaggio one. I definitely remember that one.
Well,
yeah,
obviously.
That was like a year later.
That was 99.
99.
That was 99.
I think, and two, I don't think anybody's come close to Mantle's popularity.
No. I mean, Ken Griffey, you might give him maybe.
If he died, if he got sick, God forbid, and passed away, maybe. But you got to think about it. That would be saying let's say in 20 years, right?
Yeah, 20, 25 years, I'd say. Yeah, Ken Griffey might be the only one, but even Mantle to me was different. And Joey Bostrom says that he was a junior in high school the summer of '95. Yep, that was it. That was correct, Joey. 1995. That was the summer of 1995 for sure. Yep, definitely one for the ages here. When it unfortunately the passing of Mickey Mantle here, and certainly I don't want to go too long here because I do want to at least go shock on everybody's picks because I want to read off Brad Weiss's picks. I know there's a few people out there that want to hear that, but for you guys here, I'll go one by one, and then I'll just read off Brad Weiss's picks, and then you guys can kind of give a pick on who do you think, and we'll just go like really quick shotgun on it. But for you, Justin, give me a storyline that you're watching here in these series before we go over to division series and see who everybody matches up with here next week.
I think the biggest storyline is the whole concussion situation, and if to forget just a specific game for a second, it's the whole concussion storyline. Apparently, new protocols are being released this weekend for the Sunday games, and we saw last night Nyheim Hines stumble around, kind of like Tua did in week number 3 against Baltimore. So I think it's the approach that they're going to be taking even further action on these players who are concussed in action, because that becomes a big storyline, because now the Dolphins are going to be playing without Tua. And now they turn to Teddy Bridgewater. Obviously, they're coming here to MetLife Stadium to play the New York Jets this weekend. And, I don't know if we see Tua again this season. I don't know how bad of a concussion it really is. I don't think anybody knows. And I can't imagine that. I never could imagine he was going to play this week. Obviously, it's bad optics. You can't tell me he magically cleared concussion protocol in 10 days. I'm sorry. This is something that's going to take a few weeks to maybe a month. So you're looking at the potential change in the Dolphins season after a tremendous start to it. But I think overall the action that these players, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, and I know concussions are very frequent in this sport because it's such a collision sport. You're hitting all the time. But I feel like ever since the Tua situation, I feel like we've seen more concussions, more pronounced. Maybe because, we're seeing the coverage of them more, and instead of guys just going off the sidelines and then nobody really talks about it. But I feel like it's gotten much more attention over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add on that, Chris? Anything you wanted to say before I move on there?
That's a good point, Justin. That's very possible. And I think they want more information about what damage is being done to themselves if they get concussed. I think the players want to know more. Listen, is it better for us, to stay out longer than just whatever the games that they tell you? I think they want more doctors checking them out. I think this is going to break open a lot of things. And Tua, we may not even see Tua play ever again, because if he goes after the NFL and the team in any way,
that's something I didn't think about.
So the Dolphins had Brian Flores
in the last year. I did say in our chat last week. And I'm 30. I'm 30 years old. I said I'd be very surprised if he's still in the NFL age 30.
You did say that. I did hear you say that.
He could go. He could go the way of Andrew Luck. Honestly,
he reminds me.
He's not going to be leaving the league because he's not talented. He's extremely talented. He's a good quarterback.
Well,
but
this reminds me.
Injury-wise, not even just concussions. He had injury issues in college too.
This catches up to you.
Oh,
and now you're talking about a brain injury. I hate to put it this way. It may have taken a few years off his life.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, concussions. We saw Steve Young's career end due to concussions.
And we also seen what's his name retire early too this week. The running back.
Yes. What's his name? No, it was Beasley.
Beasley.
Right. He retired early, and he just signed with Tampa Bay. Imagine a player signing with Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and then a week later saying, you know what, nah, I'm done.
Well, I think that was a mix of two things. They're starting to get their guys back. Godwin's returning. Evans had a 1-game suspension.
Yeah, I know, but
He
still,
was 7th on the depth chart. But you would think he'd stick around, and maybe be on the practice squad.
right? Exactly.
He gave it up altogether. You know what? Some players are going to say it's not worth it. Patrick Willis retired for 6-7 years.
That could have brought up, I think, with Beasley, I think 2 things. And it could have been the concussion thing because he's had concussions, number 1.
Yes, yes.
And number 2, he might have also seen, looked around the room and say, you know what, is it worth it for me to stick around here? Maybe this team is not that good,
That's true.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I don't know.
But
I just can't,
But if he was still that heavily dedicated into the game, he would have maybe tried to. He's a guy who could latch onto another team's practice squad and then get activated. I mean, you can't tell me the Giants can't use him right now.
Yeah, I think it was more about the concussion thing. Maybe he's like, you know what? I don't want to deal with this.
Like I said, you can't tell me the Giants can't use him this week in London.
No doubt.
Well, let me get to John Gonzalez's comments before I read off Brad Weiss's picks. And all I'm going to ask is, who do you want to win? I'm not even going to go into a storyline because it is late here on Sportswire Radio. John Gonzalez says, good point, Chris. Mansell was an alcoholic. Him and Billy Martin were always getting drunk in bar fights. Yep, I have heard that. You were absolutely correct. Billy Martin, unfortunately, died Christmas 1989, if I'm not mistaken. John Gonzalez says, John, this is why we're friends, because I said the same thing to everybody. Please, no more Broncos games on primetime.
We're bad news for you.
Next week. I know.
Monday
night. Next week. Dude, I know you were going to say that.
Denver, Chicago.
There was a doctor this week that recommended Tua to save his
Washington,
life
Chicago.
prior. This reminds me, John Gonzalez, there was a wrestler about 20 or so years ago named Christopher Nowinski, who was a young wrestler, and he had an Ivy League background. He was supposed to he looked like almost a taller version of Triple H, and he wrestled for a very short time, and he kept getting a bunch of concussion after concussion, and he had to retire. And if you know anything about anything, he's kind of the guy that is like the spokesperson for those that try to get help with CTE stuff and all that stuff. So Tua might be, unfortunately, the next Christopher Nowinski. And he goes on and says, CTE is real. Just get Dave Durson, Junior Seau, Mike Webster. It's a long list of people. And that game last night, Joey Bostrom, was like the weather in New York, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's how that was. It was just, well, we're not going to talk about it. But let me read off here the Brute Force's Brad Weiss's picks, and I'll let you guys just tell me who do you think will win. First, he goes Giants and Packers. He likes the Packers. He goes spread, over, under. He goes with the over. If that matters, no big deal. But, Justin, who do you like, Packers or Giants?
Green Bay.
For you, Chris, Packers or Giants?
Green Bay. Easy.
Real quick, I do think the Giants can cover that spread, though. At 8 points, I do think they can cover that. But Packers win. I'm
going with the Giants because something tells me here, I think the Giants, that their defense is very good. And I think Barkley, to me, he looks like he's poised. Speaking of guys on a contract year, I think he'll do something here. So John Gonzalez also says he likes the Packers. Okay, Dolphins and Jets. Brute Force here likes the Dolphins. After everything we just heard, the Brute Force thinks he likes the Dolphins, and he goes with the under. Who do you guys like?
I'm only going to say this because when I picked against them, they've won, and when I picked them, they've lost. So Dolphins. No, you know what? I can't live in jinxes. Jets are going to win this game.
There you go. Me too. They can't lose this game. They got a backup quarterback again going. No excuse. Come on, at home. Let's get this first win at home this year. Get to 3-2. Definitely.
Score early, let Zach Wilson get the crowd fired up.
That's it.
John Gonzalez likes the Jets. Joey Bostrom likes the Jets. And even though I was talked into trying to pick the Dolphins because of Teddy Bridgewater, I am going to go with the Jets because I do think that the Jets have a little bit of momentum right now. And I think that there is an opportunity here for this team. So I'll go Jets, and that'll be that. The Brute Force, Steelers and Bills. He goes the Bills, and he also wants me to put in bold, easy, and the Steelers stink, and he thinks the over. Steelers, Bills, who do you guys think?
Bills,
easy.
Not even questionable.
Yeah.
And John Gonzalez says, even he says the Bills at this point. And I'm going to go with the Bills because as much as I want to pick the Steelers, this screams like a blowout. This screams one of these games, unfortunately, in Buffalo. Steelers could unfortunately be in for a world of hurt.
Bills might have an easy time covering that 14 points.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Joey Bostrom, though, says Bills 30, Steelers 17. I like the optimism, Joey. Chargers, Browns. Brute Force likes the Chargers. He thinks the spread's the Chargers, and he goes with the under. Interesting matchup here. Chargers and Browns. What do you guys think?
Chargers.
I'm going to go Chargers. I don't
Okay.
trust the Browns with Brissett. I don't know. Until they get, a real quarterback in there, I'll take the Chargers.
John Gonzalez likes the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Browns in this one. I think in Cleveland is not a bad football team. You could arguably say that they're a little better than their record based on obviously the Jets game. They should have won. They had that. Like I said, I don't think they're a great football team. I know the Atlanta game is certainly one you're going to also want to have back, but I think they kind of redeemed themselves here. I don't know how impressed I am with the Chargers. I'll say the Browns here win. Joey Bostrom likes the Chargers. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and I think he's cheating because the Brute Force bonus had 26-20 Chargers. Bears at Vikings. Brute Force here likes the Vikings, and he likes these Vikings to cover the spread, and he thinks the under. And what do you guys think here in the Bears and Vikings?
Vikings.
I
don't know how Chicago's going to generate offense. I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Joey Bostrom and John Gonzalez. John Gonzalez likes the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Vikings here. I think that the Vikings are going to win at least by 2 touchdowns, and I think the Brute Force is spot on with his assessment of that matchup. Lions and Patriots. Brute Force picks beloved Detroit Lions here on Sportswire Radio. He likes the under as well, and he also likes them to win by 5 points. So what do you guys think? And Joey Bostrom also likes the Vikings. So Lions, Patriots, what do you guys think here?
Bill Belichick ain't losing this game. There's no shot. No England.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I'm taking Detroit.
I gotta tell you, I really liked what I saw out of Bailey Zappi last week. I really did. And you know what? Detroit's not as good as Green Bay.
If there was Detroit, this is a must-win for Detroit because I've been picking the Lions every week, and they're supposed to be a better football team in this. So I'm going to still stick with the Lions. I do think that this score will be an under. I do kind of agree with the Brute Force on that.
No. There's no under in Detroit Lions football.
I understand, but the Patriots
will not stop anybody.
Yeah, but the Patriots' offense isn't very good. I mean,
you know what? This is not this. You know what? This is an opportunity for Bailey Zappi. I really think this is an opportunity.
Well, we'll find out. I mean,
to find out that they really might have something.
And John Gonzalez likes the Patriots, and Joey Bostrom. I can see Joey saying this exactly word for word. Patriots win. I've known Joey a long time. I can see him saying that.
I'm with you, though. Trust me.
Seahawks at Saints. Brute Force likes the Saints, and he likes the under here, and he likes them to cover. What do you guys think here? Seahawks at Saints. Interesting matchup here.
God. I don't know, Justin. What do you think, man? I don't know about this game.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Seahawks. The Saints are just a pathetic offense. They really are.
I know.
They're hard to watch.
They can't
move the football.
Saints are home, right? So I'll take them, and I'm going to cross my fingers Kamara comes back and he can do something for them. So,
call me crazy, and John Gonzalez says the Seahawks. I think Pete Carroll doesn't get the credit maybe that he deserves as a coach. And you know what? Something tells me here. I think the Seahawks are going to win this game. Something tells me here.
Listen, they've got Geno playing well. They really do.
You know what?
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. Seattle in an ugly game. You know what? Seattle might be able to claw 6 or 7 wins and at least be an interesting football team. Pete Carroll's a good coach, and he finds ways to win. And right now, if I would have told you Geno Smith's a better quarterback than Russell Wilson, you originally would have said I'm nuts. But right now, that looks to be the case. And you know what? Maybe this is something there for that. Falcons at Buccaneers. Buccaneers, 10-point favorites. Bucks, Brute Force likes them, and he likes them to go the over. What do you guys think here, Falcons at Buccaneers?
Bucks. Brady wins this game blindfolded.
Yeah, Tampa's got to win this game.
All right.
What does
And,
Bruce Force call the Falcons? The dumbest team in
Yep.
football. So
Well, he's got. I've got my Steelers and Lions. He's got his Falcons, who he doesn't like. So
Right.
let's call it a spade a spade. And John Gonzalez likes the Bucks. I tend to like the Buccaneers as well. I just can't see Brady losing another game here at home. Joey Bostrom does think the Falcons will be in it. He says 24-20. So, all right, that's fair. Boy, another painful game to pick here. Titans and Commanders. Titans, 2-point favorites. Brute Force likes the Commanders. He also likes the under here, and he just says that it's a trap game for the Titans, and he thinks that Carson will do okay for them. What do you guys think here? Again, Titans, Commanders, not crazy about this matchup at all.
Yeah, I don't like it either. Tennessee. I'll take Tennessee, and I think Derrick Henry will run like a madman and get like 160 yards.
All right, and John Gonzalez likes the Titans. Joey Bostrom likes the Titans. Yeah, I see where Brad's going with this, but I think I like the Titans here just because I think the Titans in that division, that's not a good division, and they're very much in it. Between them and Jacksonville and the Colts, somebody has to win it. And John Gonzalez says Brute Force is out of his mind, Commanders. Well, I think after him making fun of the then Washington football team and then the Commanders for the past 3 years, I think he's just decided that, you know what, it hasn't worked for me, and I'm going to try something different. I guess that's my only thing I can consider here.
And they have the worst name, and now they get the worst uniforms now, too. They're just horrible.
Maybe the worst means something. Texans and Jaguars here. Brute Force likes the Jaguars. He likes the Jaguars to cover and the under here. What do you guys think here, Texans and Jaguars?
Jaguars.
Yeah, Jaguars.
Good bounce back spot for Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with the Jaguars like John Gonzalez because I do think that, Justin, you're on to something. You said that the Jaguars were going to be a good football team this year. And you know what? They look like they are going to be a team that's going to be very competitive this year. And
hey, right now through 4 weeks plus the Colts game on Thursday night, the Jaguars look to me right now as the best team in the AFC.
I said it before. I think 9 wins is going to win that division.
You know what? Good win for the Colts last night, but God, they looked horrendous.
Well, let's not even talk about that game. Let's not even talk about it. I think that's what you said it best there, Justin. 49ers and Panthers. Brute Force likes the 49ers. He likes them to cover, and he likes the over here. What do you guys think here in this matchup? Sort of intriguing.
Yes, and yes, I agree. San Fran. Yep.
All right, clean sweep. And John Gonzalez likes the Niners. Yeah, I'm going to go with San Francisco. I still stick with my point that Matt Rule could be the first coach to be fired, and I just don't believe in the Panthers. And I think San Francisco's good enough to be in the mix as a playoff team. I like the fact that they win against the Rams, and maybe they use that for some momentum. And their defense might be one of the best in the league. They're certainly in the top 3 or 4. So I think San Francisco wins pretty comfortably here.
Let me, before we jump to the next teams, you were talking about Matt Rule getting fired. What's the right question? When do college teams start looking for a new coach? Because I would think Matt Rule is going to go back to college. So
usually December.
Yeah.
I mean, you might get a straggler here or there, like Arizona State's already fired Herm Edwards. You get a straggler.
Well, though I think the Herm Edwards was more about stuff off the field.
There was a lot, there was a lot. But they also weren't winning either, so there was a lot that went into that.
I mean, they didn't win to the name.
So he'll definitely get fired by December.
It'd be December, but he might get fired before that, though. Honestly,
yeah, that's true.
They're not a good football team.
I don't know when their bye is. I don't know if he lasts till the bye.
I was just thinking their bye, right?
It's not.
Well, I'll tell you what. Denver's coach might be number 2. That's all I'm going to say for another discussion for another time. But and he says he read my mind. Rule to Nebraska. Very well possible.
They've already hired Scott Frost.
Their bye week is December 4th.
The Panthers.
All right.
The late one, yeah.
Oh, he's not making December.
Well, we'll find out here. Cowboys and Rams. Brute Force likes the Rams, but he likes the Cowboys to cover the spread. He likes the over here. He thinks it'll be a good game, and he thinks that it'll be. He thinks Rams will pull it out at the end. What do you guys think?
This is a tough one, honestly.
Yeah. Because you know what, the Rams haven't played well yet, and the Cowboys
Super Bowl hangover, maybe.
I hate to go against the Rams.
To be honest with you, the Rams are playing a road game in their own stadium on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true too.
I'll take the Rams to bounce back.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable with it, but you know what?
Yeah, they got to eventually
Rams
start
bounce
playing
back.
well, right? The Rams have to get on a roll at some point. So yeah,
You know,
Could I see Dallas winning this game? Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know what? They've been like I keep saying, they've really stabilized things with Cooper Rush, and he's done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
I think Dallas wins this game. I think Dallas. You know what? They're a good football team right now. A good quarterback, and they've weathered the storm and everything else. And I don't know. Something tells me here
I
the
gotta tell you,
Rams.
they got a great defense. Dallas is
You know
great.
what? Something tells me here. I'm going with Dallas. I'm with Brad on that. And I think they win the game outright. 3 more games here. Eagles at Cardinals. Brute Force likes the Eagles, and he likes the over here. What do you guys think?
Yes and yes. Eagles over.
No, you know what? I think the Cardinals pull this off. It's hard for me to see the Eagles starting 5-0 this year. You know what? It's a good spot for the Cardinals here at home. Got the Eagles on the road out west, so I'm going to take the Cardinals, make an upset here.
John Gonzalez says Eagles big. Joey Bostrom, Eagles, it's going to be close. I like the Eagles. You know what? I think the Eagles right now, I know it's early, but they're establishing themselves with an identity. And they might be one of these teams right now that could be legitimate Super Bowl contenders right now.
I'm not steering away from that. I just think this is this is a big upset spot right here.
And let's go to the Sunday night and Monday night games here before we close out. And then when we're done off the, I'll tally up all of our picks and I'll send them to the group on Sportswire because I'm doing that as we speak. We've got the Sunday night game, Bengals at Ravens. Ravens 3.5-point favorites. Brute Force here likes the Ravens. He likes them to cover the spread, and he likes the over here. What do you guys think? Interesting matchup. Bengals have gotten back on track a little bit. Ravens, I don't know how to figure them out. What do you guys think?
I don't like the way Baltimore's playing. Give me Cincinnati.
Yeah, especially defensively. I'll take Cincinnati game.
John Gonzalez likes the Bengals.
I don't trust the Baltimore's defense, man. They're giving up huge leads at home.
Yep.
No, I'll take Cincy in that game.
And Joey Bostrom likes the Bengals, and John Gonzalez says Ravens miss wing. For whatever reason, I'm going to say Baltimore wins this game just because I do feel like it's a rivalry game. It's prime time. This is as must-win as you're going to get maybe in the John Harbaugh era. And I kind of think here, for whatever reason, it's going to be a very good game. I agree it's going to be an over. I think it's going to be close to the wire. It better be a good game because these Sunday night games have been just all these primetime games have been terrible so far. So hopefully we get something better. Well, the Giants game was okay, but give us a good one. I think this will be the good one we're looking for. But I think Baltimore pulls it out here. It'll definitely be close. And then the Monday night game, which part of me feels like it's not going to be a good game, but we'll see what you guys think. Raiders and Chiefs. Chiefs are a touchdown favorite. Brute Force likes the Chiefs, and he likes them to cover the spread, and he likes them to win comfortably and the over. What do you guys think here in the Monday night game?
KC. Big.
KC. Pretty comfortable.
KC, last year they beat the Raiders. They blew them out both games last year.
About 80 points total or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I thought it was the other way around for some reason. I thought they played them good or something, and I'm like, and I looked back and I'm like, woof, that doesn't look good. So yeah, KC big.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm about to say here. And John Gonzalez likes the Chiefs. Joey Bostrom likes the Chiefs, and he likes the Chiefs in the over. John Gonzalez, and I like the Kansas City Chiefs here because the Kansas City, listen, whether they're Oakland, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, they never go into Arrowhead and win. Never. I can't think of in my lifetime of watching Raiders Chiefs that the Raiders really play well in that bill. That is one of the loudest places in all of sports to play in. Arrowhead has always been a tough place to play. Whether it was Schottenheimer, whether it was Reed, Vermeil, that is a tough place to play. And I think Kansas City wins big, and that'll be the rest of it. So we'll give everybody else's picks into our Sportswire group on Twitter and also Facebook as well. And John Gonzalez says Josh McDaniels. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of as there always is going to be a lot of vacancies for sure, because you can see where it's going right now and sort of the coaching carousel. You can see some of the places where they're not making progress. They're making regressions. And I
How
think
about
we're
Hackett
starting to see.
in Denver?
I mentioned him 10 minutes ago. I think he's, to me, going to be after Rue, I would make him number 2. And certainly Arizona.
I think a part of that too is he was hired by the old ownership. You know,
Yep.
they were just purchased by the Walton family. It's a new ownership. They might need to make a change after 1 year.
Yeah, because there's
I
stuff.
I
would
think they're
imagine
going to have
Denver's
to
going
make
to
a
be a
change
job.
because
There's always at least 7 to 8 job openings at the end of the year.
Well, and I think it's going to be no different this year, because I think you see in Arizona as a potential place. I think you're seeing certainly Las Vegas, unfortunately. Obviously, Carolina, we spoke about. Denver. I mean, there's going to certainly be some places where I think you're going to see the coaching carousel go round and round and round, as it always does
Washington.
here. That was my next one. That was
Yeah.
going to be my next one on the list. And
I would say we're 50-50 maybe on Seattle, but that would be more of Pete Carroll saying I'm done.
well,
Right.
see,
I don't know.
Pete Carroll won't be
He
fired.
looks so young and youthful.
No, yeah, he will be fired.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll he's going to the Hall of Fame. He's not
No,
going to be fired.
and I agree with that. And I don't think the Seahawks will fire him. It's a matter of him just saying, "All right, I'm done." You know.
Yeah, no. Well, now, if you say now that
What if
the
the
wording will
Cowboys
be
make the
different.
playoffs? I think McCarthy gets fired. Right?
They
Well, I
gotta.
think- Well, Dallas,
If
I think,
they
is
miss the
playing
playoffs.
well right now.
If they miss the playoffs,
If they go like 9 and 8 or
if
10,
they miss the playoffs, it's because Dak didn't play well. Because
if they
Cooper
go
Rush
9,
played
if
extremely well.
Dallas goes 9 and 8 or 10 and 7, or let's say 10 and 7 and misses, I think he'll hang on. But if
10
they
and
go
7
like
makes
Nope.
10 and 7. Then 10 and 7's got to make it in the NFC. There's nobody running away with it other than Philly, right?
A guaranteed in basically.
Yeah, I think if you win 9
I think
games,
Dallas. I think if Dallas wins this week, I think Dallas will make the playoffs because they go 500 the rest of the year in that division.
And I think
Kingsbury-
that'll save McCarthy for one more year.
I think he'll get another crack. Something tells me here. And Jerry Jones has been patient. Remember how many
And
cracks?
honestly, I think people view McCarthy right now in a very favorable light because of the way they've played with Cooper Rush at quarterback. You know, we all thought that this season was going to go down the drain, and all Cooper Rush has done is really stabilize things. He's played solid football. He's not making the big mistakes, and they're playing. They're playing well. Their defense is outstanding.
I think Indianapolis is the place to watch. I think that's going to be
Mike
the
Wright's
place to
an
watch.
interesting one. Yeah,
That's going to be the one.
different quarterbacks, and he's still not doing nothing now.
But you know what though, and I don't have a read on how Jim Irsay is going to handle that as the owner. I don't have a good read.
I would think he's going to dump him after bringing in Matt Ryan. Now, first you bring in Carson Wentz, who was basically Frank Reich's quarterback in Philly, and he had all that success with him. He flopped with him last year, and now Matt Ryan, you bring him in, sign him to a lot of money, and then you flop with him. I don't know.
At what point do you just blame who you're bringing in?
It's not a good division.
You brought in an old, washed-up Phillip Rivers. He had Andrew Luck retire on his watch. He had a year of Jacoby Brissett. He had a washed-up Phillip Rivers. Carson Wentz is just not good anymore. And Matt Ryan looks washed up. So you could put the blame on him, but you could also they're just bringing in garbage quarterbacks at this point of their careers.
It's hard to listen. Quarterbacks are very hard. Listen, we've
It's
seen
like
here
Greg
in New
Evans.
York, right? I mean, the Jets, we haven't had much success at it. And do you stick with Cooper Rush when Dak is ready to come back?
No.
That depends on where you are in this.
No way.
No,
Depends.
Dak is the guy.
And
They
Anthony
didn't pay
Finkel
him.
would tell
I'll tell you
to
though.
do.
He's not on the bench at $30 million a year. So
I'll tell you though. The calls will be back if he continues to play well and Dak comes back and struggles. I will tell you that Dallas Cowboy fans will grow impatient of Dak Prescott very quickly.
Oh,
they're still not benching him. They're still not benching him. They got a lot of money invested in that dude.
Oh, that's true.
Right? I mean,
Dak is the guy. Yeah.
Right or wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. Maybe he should.
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with you. Like they won't make that move, but you could tell me the chance will be calling.
Hey, maybe Cooper Rush will get a big contract this offseason.
Type deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, we see it. Listen, we see
Maybe
it
it's hope.
happen all the time. We see it happen all the time, and certainly we kind of did it all in shotgun here. We went over the games and we did some baseball talk, and obviously it was a fun show here. Started off a little bit somber, I think, with the Mets, but we had a great time, I think, throughout and talking about Aaron Judge, talking about the Yankees, talking about the NFL, and this is what we do here on Sportswire Radio, and of course, again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 365 days a year. You can catch all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. Obviously, it is getting late, so I want to give everybody some closing thoughts. Well, it's easy tonight because Brad's not going to talk for 10 minutes. Rob Maraska's off. I told Randy Dillon we'll do hockey next week, and no Billy McIntyre, so this will be pretty short, right? So let me go to Justin Gianelli. Justin, I want to give you the floor. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything you want to plug, and hopefully some good thoughts. And I can't thank you enough as always. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. I will say last week we did some better with the 3 locks of the week. We went 2-1.
All right, finally a winning week. Good.
Yeah, we went under on the Giants Bears. That was only 32 points. It was 39.5. We went over Daniel Jones rushing yards. He ended up I think 70 something before he went out of the game. And then we missed on the over under between Bills Ravens. That was a little bit lower scoring than I anticipated, but overall, good week. You know, we got another one coming up. First game that I like in the NFL is the Giants. We're going to go with the Giants again to cover the +8. You know what? I think they're going to hang around. You know, I don't think the Green Bay Packers are all that great, to be honest with you. I think they're obviously clearly better than the Giants and they'll win the game. But I think eight's a big number. I really do. Game number 2. I like the Jaguars -7. You know what? Like I said, it's a good bounce back spot for the Jaguars. You know, they're coming off of a tough loss to the Eagles. You know what? I like the Jaguars there. Game number 3, and this is a tough one. Give me the Cowboys +5.5. Even though I picked the Rams to win, I do think the Cowboys are going to cover that spread. I think it's going to be like a 23-20 type game. So those are my 3 locks of the week. As for everything else, I'll be recording a baseball banter tomorrow. So look for that to drop over by the end of the weekend. You know, look at the postseason. Look towards the NLDS to see if we have any any teams clinching tomorrow. Obviously, with it being a 3-game series, everybody's in a must-win situation for the teams that lost tonight. And I need a better performance from the Mets tomorrow, please. I need Jacob deGrom to just go out there and do his thing. I really do. So you can follow me at JGNelly12 and at BBallBanterSM. That's all I've got.
Well, we'll certainly hope. And John Gonzalez says, I think I'm having a good this week that I had to pick against the Lions and Steelers. Well, we'll certainly find out about that. And Chris, I want to give you the floor. Obviously, enjoyed the Talking Rivals show. We got to listen to it quite a bit. Looking forward to also playing the Liftoff Jets with Sharman as well. Sharman I see everywhere, and obviously love what you guys do. And I want to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. Again, happy birthday. I know you've heard it a million times.
Oh, my God. At this point,
one last time. One last time.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
So, Justin, great show as always, man. Love chatting with you. Yeah, we'll have a Talking Rivals show probably on Monday. Me and Patrick breaking down what happened this weekend. Hopefully, you know, for Justin and you, Tom, hopefully we're talking about the Mets coming back and winning 2 straight. I think we'll see a good performance from him tomorrow. Maybe 6 innings, 3 hits. How about 9 Ks? And we'll see what happens, you know. And we'll have a Talking Rivals on Monday. And then probably Wednesday, we'll do the usual, hopefully with Sharman. We'll get the Liftoff Jets episode. Hopefully we're getting another win with the Jets. Hopefully we're going to go 3-2.
Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of feeling good about the Jets now.
I feel very good. And I even Sharman on the podcast, I said, listen, this might be the week, this past week, this game against Pittsburgh might have been the game that we're going to look back on in a few weeks, maybe in the offseason, we're going to look back like that was the game where we seen Wilson come out and become our franchise quarterback. Maybe it's the game. I'm hoping it is. Like maybe he's just going to take off from here and, and slowly, get better, and hopefully with the offensive line. I think that's the key, obviously. Getting Dwayne Brown back this week is going to be huge.
We'll see where they put Vera Tucker.
I'm curious. Either guard or tackle.
It seems like he's one of those plug-and-play guys where he's good anywhere. He obviously it was up to the task at left tackle on Sunday. But you know what? It's time to start seeing a good 4 quarters from Zach Wilson. We saw a strong start to the game when they scored the first 10 points. A middle of the game where they could not do a single thing.
Yeah,
Zach Wilson throws, was running for his life. And then the fourth quarter, you saw a poised young quarterback who the light bulb went on and looked like a dude who knew what he's doing.
Yep.
And the fact that the Jets won that game because of Zach Wilson is everything you need to know about what we're looking for this season. You know what? Yes, the defense had to make plays. They took the ball away from the Steelers plenty of time. But you know what? Zach Wilson led them 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter and had the poise of a seasoned veteran. And that was the biggest positive, the biggest takeaway from Sunday's game.
Yep.
And let me get to a few more comments before we sign off here. And Joey Bosham gives us kind of a sad one here. This is the last show I'll be able to watch and participate because of work. I love the group chat, and you guys rock. He thanks me, says happy birthday. We need to go to Duffy's. I always tell you that, Joey. Hopefully we'll work on that. But definitely going to miss you here live with us here on Sportswire Radio. And I'll still listen to the show the next day. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you,
and by the way, Joey, I'm looking at the background of your photo. I feel like that used to look exactly like my old fence did in my backyard. Did that photo by any chance be taken in my backyard, or am I like totally missing something? Because the fence looks like the backyard that was in my house up until about COVID. So I don't know if maybe there was a photo of us that I don't know about, but I'll definitely look forward to obviously you being a part of our group on Facebook, the sports guys with you and your friend and some of us here on Sportswire Radio. John Gonzalez says, okay, great show. I did miss trashing the brute force, but my calling in life, but hey, you guys rock. No, John Gonzalez, you're a lot more important than that. And you can, of course, follow the Sports Authorities group on Facebook anytime at the Sports Authorities. Over 4,000 plus members are a part of John's group, including the likes of Lee Steinberg, of course, the great NFL and sports agent, and Chris, and Anthony Finkel's always posting there. So many, many great people are a part of that group. Please join it. And I want to thank everybody that has, again, wished me a happy birthday. I appreciate all the calls, text. I appreciate everything on Facebook and just everybody else that has done that. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And also, I'll be back here Monday afternoon with wrestling coverage with Dan Robertson and also Wildfire Nate Reese. So I look forward to speaking some nonstop action wrestling in the LWF as we get ready for All Hallows Eve on the 22nd and the 15th, the LWF's October Overload. And also, John says, Tom, you're catching up to Rob Maraska. Happy birthday. Well, not yet. I got like 40 years to go, John. So I've got a whole life to go. But I appreciate that I got to live another year and be here with all these great people here on Sportswire Radio that have supported us. And thank you for that. And Joey wants to remind me, no, that's my backyard. Yeah, I don't think I remember your backyard, so maybe you would know better than I would, because I don't think I remember the backyard in South Beach. But be that as it may, it is getting late. If you're on sportnarium.com/player, you're going to go back to your regularly scheduled programming here in about, I'd say, 10 or so minutes, as we'll play the sit-down marks, and we'll play them and all of other content. Liftoff, Jets, Talking Rivals, Baseball Banter we'll put back in the rotation when we get a show from Justin. So thank you, everybody. Let's hope our sports teams do well this weekend, whether it's our Jets, our Giants, our Mets. Later next week, our Yankees. And we were joined here with Chris Pizzea of Liftoff Jets and the Talking Rivals, Justin Gianelli of the Baseball Banter Show, Rob Maraska earlier. And my name is Tom Bryce. I am the Reverend. I am actually a licensed Reverend. So if you do ever need somebody for a wedding ceremony or anything else, anything that I can do as an oath, I actually am a Reverend. But thank you for your support and tuning into our station and our little show here Fridays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time generally. So thank you, everybody. Good night, good afternoon, good morning, depending wherever you are. And we'll be back here Monday with more coverage on Sportswire Radio, and our regular team to cover all the latest happenings here in the world of sports in America will be Friday night on the number one global radio station that is Sportswire Radio. Thank you, everyone. Good night.